I regret that Todd and I got into it. You know, that was like a whole moment. And I think that, again, like when you're in a house, you have no outlets. It's like, you know, it's just a lot. Everything is like, that's your whole world.
Today, we are joined by Real Housewives of Atlanta alum and Celebrity Big Brother house guest, Cynthia Bailey, of course. Thank you for chatting with me. I'm so excited to chat with you. I'm a super fan of Big Brother, so
Wow.
I'm appreciative that you're letting me chat your ear off about the show. Okay.
Let's go.
First and foremost, I gotta get a vibe check here. How are you feeling now that you're out of the house?
Oh my God. I'm so happy to be out of the house. I didn't think that I would make it as far as I did. Like, making the final three was a huge surprise to me. I figured, you know, I was just trying to like not get evicted first, to be honest. That was my goal. And then by the time I made it to the final five, I was like, wait, I got to get my head in the game now. Like, this, I could maybe win this thing. But just hugely, you know, proud of myself that I went as far as I did, and I didn't, you know, have to compromise myself too much to get there. And that was, you know, that meant a lot to me because I knew I could only play the game one kind of way, and that was with, you know, some integrity. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even it just showed when you exited the house, you left with so much class. Like, it was just a lovely way to leave the game. You left as a winner, as you said. So.
Yes.
Yes. And, you know, now that you're out of the house, have you gotten the chance to kind of decompress about the season with the other jurors there? I don't know how much contact.
I have not. I haven't even watched the show. I haven't even watched the show, and I didn't get to see the live stream, which apparently had a lot of my castmates upset. I just got home last night, so I woke up this morning. I started press. I still have not watched everything, but from what I understand, a lot of things happened that I didn't get a chance to see, but all of the decisions that I made were based on what I knew was going on in the house. There was no way for me to make decisions any other way. And, you know, it was great to see my cast. I can't wait to catch up with everyone. Carson was my ride or die. I cannot wait to hang out with him on the outside. I cannot imagine being in that house without Carson. So.
Yeah. For sure. And I imagine it was a lot to hear all of the jury's comments as you're sitting there. You had just gotten out of the game. So I imagine that must have been even a little bit overwhelming for you. So what was it like to hear what they were saying as they were voting?
I was in shock. I was confused. I didn't understand what was happening. Again, they had a chance to watch everything. I didn't get a chance to watch anything. And then it was like, okay, now you have to vote. And I was like, you know, I had a great relationship with Todrick in the house. He took me under his wing after Carson left. I was alone. You know, it was he and Misha and Lamar and Todd. And then I was kind of third wheeling it with everyone. And so I felt very displaced when Carson left. And honestly, I just assumed when Carson left, I would be next to go. And once I ended up standing in the house longer, I actually found myself not really wanting to be there, but then I just kept making it through all these evictions. And I was like, okay, let me get my head in the game. Maybe I can actually win this thing. So, but you know, it was very emotional to see everyone so upset. For me, I was the only one that ended up voting for Todrick. I didn't understand why nobody else voted for him at the time. You know, I felt like I always looked at Todrick and Misha as one person, like they were like a dynamic duo together. Like, you know, now that I understand the game of Big Brother now, Todrick played a hell of a game. You know, all the other things that people are upset with him about. I haven't watched the show yet, but from what I knew, I was like, hey, they're like the dynamic duo. They're playing the game, and you know, I think they both won because of each other.
Mm-hmm, for sure, they were definitely the force to be reckoned with in the house. And, you know, I was wondering too about this. You mentioned that Todrick kind of took you under his wing. Was there a little bit of a connection there with you and Todrick? Maybe in that first week we didn't get live feeds in that first week that you were all in the house. So I was wondering how you guys formed that bond and what did you guys bond over?
Yeah, well, we actually have a friend in common, Candy Burris, who did last season. So we had her in common, and he's like, oh my God, I love you on Real Housewives, and I'm friends with Ken. I was like, oh my God, I love Ken. I've been working with her forever. So that was our initial connection. And then, the fact that he was like a gay Black man in the house, I was like, all right, this is cool. He's an artist, he's a creative, we had a ton of things in common.
For sure. And I think that you will have a lot to look into when you get the chance to look into like everything that was going on the live feeds. Maybe not so much on the episodes, but there was a lot that went down in the house, especially surrounding the whole, of course, the Shayna situation. I'm sure you've already talked at length about this and heard some things about the situation. So I wanted to know, you said that you didn't have a chance to talk to your other house guests yet, but would there be anything that you would? After the show,
I spoke to Carson. He was like, you have to watch the feed. Basically, the whole thing was not true. That Todrick and Misha told us, like, it was just them duping us so that they could, win or whatever. And I did not know that. My husband watched the show religiously while I was away, and he was able to give me some updates. And I was just, again, still processing, blown away. I haven't seen it for myself yet, but I definitely feel like I owe Shayna an apology for kicking her out of the house, because I was so, protective of Carson at that moment. I was doing what I thought was protecting our alliance. A couple of things that happened that made me kind of not trust Shayna, which kind of led to when we got this news, I was like, now it's making sense. This is why she did this and that or whatever. And at the end of the day, me not really knowing how the game is played, maybe it wasn't such a big deal that she was working with another team, but I felt like there should be some loyalty to us, because she really was. Shayna apparently is a super fan too. She really knew how to play the game. Carson and I didn't make any moves without her. We were like, she was like our leader. We're like, we can't do anything without Shayna. What does Shayna think we should do? And I was just, really hurt when they told me that information, because Carson is such a lovely person. He was such a blessing to everyone in their house and so much fun, and definitely my ride or die. So all the moves I made was from my reality in the house and me thinking that I was protecting the alliance and myself and Carson. So I will see the show hopefully today after I get done doing press, but just happy to be home. It's a lot.
Definitely. I'm sure it's just so much to process, and hindsight is of course 2020, and we're outside. We get to see everything. You obviously, only get to see what's in front of you, what's going on. So you just had to work with what you had. So
100%.
So do you, looking back on it now, even though you haven't gotten the chance to watch the episodes, do you have any regrets about your time on the show?
Regrets. Well, yeah, I have two regrets. I regret that Todd and I got into it. That was like a whole moment. And I think that, again, like when you're in a house, you have no outlets. It's like, it's just a lot. Everything is like, that's your whole world. I definitely, wanted the respect from him that, if I give someone my word, that's just what it is, as I would respect his. But I just was disappointed that I allowed, it to escalate the way that it did. But, I apologized. We moved on, and that was that. And the other thing, honestly, is not maybe doing more research at the time with Shayna to really to figure out, to just try to like, I think maybe I was a little too quick to be like, oh my God, this is it. She's betraying us. I wish in hindsight I would have said, okay, we're going to get, and we actually tried to get everyone together. I was like, well, if you're telling the truth, like, let's, me, you, Carson, Misha, and Todrick all sit together. Like, please tell these people are saying to our face that this is what is happening. Say to us all together that it's not happening. And that just didn't end up happening. So then that made me even more like, well, if you're telling the truth, what? Because if I was telling the truth, I'd be like, get everybody in the room. Get everybody in the room. I know what I said. I know what alliance that I'm in, alliance that I'm in. I know who my loyalty is to. And I'll say it to anyone's face, because that's, how I played the game. Like everything for me was all about, my word and my loyalty to my alliance. I don't even know how I lasted as long as I did, because apparently that doesn't even get you that far in this house, but it was the only way that I chose to play the game.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And I mean, that showed too, throughout your game, you did lead with class and integrity. So that I do commend you for that. I did want to end on if you had any messages for the fans. People have watched you kind of 24/7 here. So message to your fans, your supporters, people who've been watching, what would you say to them?
I would say to my fans and my supporters, thank you so much for giving me so much love. This was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. I thought by being on the Real Housewives of Atlanta for 11 seasons, in some way it would have prepared me to be on the show. It absolutely did not prepare me to be on the show in any way. And I honestly did the best that I could. And I hope that, for people that are not, I hope I was some kind of small inspiration, that I kept trying to go, I kept pushing through, and I made it a lot farther than I thought I did. Again, I kind of wanted to give up at one point after Carson left. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to push through, and I'm not going to, go against of what I would want to do to get as far as I can get in this game. So yes, that's what I would like to say. And just thank you for your support. This was not easy. I'm so happy to be home with my family. And I'm just glad that I was able to even make it as far as I did, because I really went into this game just trying to make it past the first eviction. And I ended up surviving double evictions in the end. Like I just kept being kept in the house. So I didn't win comps. I didn't get blood on my hands. So I was never in any position of power to do anything except be in the house. So I pretty much just cooked and cleaned my way through. And I think that what I feel good about is, because I didn't really, again, win anything, or I wasn't that strong of a player. I just felt like in the end, a lot of why I was there was because people wanted me to be there. I was liked in the house. So that meant a lot to me as well, because I didn't want to be hated in the house. So that worked out for me, that I tried to be a good person. I tried to be helpful, and I tried to, respect people, and, command that same respect.
Yeah, I love that. And now you can just relax and be out of the house, enjoy a 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐿 cocktail,
Yes.
Watch the show.
Yes, peach Bellini. Yes, absolutely. I celebrated my birthday in the house too, and that was like a whole thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so now you get to drink all the bellinis you want, drink some for me. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for taking the time to chat with me. This was a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure was mine. Thank you.